December 1943. The frozen forests of Italy had become a killing ground. German forces held defensive positions in the mountains. American infantry pushed upward through snow and ice. Every meter of ground was contested. German soldiers fought with discipline and experience. But American soldiers had something the Germans did not have. They had the M1 Garand rifle. A German patrol recovered an abandoned American position near Monte Cassino. Among the equipment left behind was an American rifle. It was longer than a carbine. It had a wooden stock. It looked similar to the German Kar98k rifle. But when German soldiers examined it, they discovered it was fundamentally different. It was semi-automatic. It fired 8 rounds without manual reloading. It represented a revolution in infantry warfare. The rifle was sent to German military testing facilities. Engineers were instructed to analyze it completely. They needed to understand what the Americans had developed. They needed to understand whether German infantry weapons were still competitive. They needed to understand whether this American rifle represented a threat to German tactical superiority. The M1 Garand had been developed by John Garand, a Canadian-American engineer working at Springfield Armory. Development had begun in the 1920s. The U.S. military had recognized that bolt-action rifles, while reliable, were limited by their rate of fire. A soldier with a bolt-action rifle could fire perhaps 15 rounds per minute under ideal conditions. That rate assumed the soldier was calm, well-trained, and not under fire. In combat, rates of fire were much lower. The U.S. military wanted a rifle that could increase infantry firepower without requiring machine guns. Garand's design used gas operation. When a round was fired, some of the propellant gases were diverted through a port in the barrel. These gases drove a piston that cycled the action. The spent cartridge was ejected automatically. A new round was chambered automatically. The soldier only needed to aim and pull the trigger. The rifle would cycle itself. This meant a soldier could maintain aimed fire at a much higher rate than with a bolt-action rifle. The M1 Garand was adopted by the U.S. military in 1936. It became the standard infantry rifle for all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. Production began at Springfield Armory and was later expanded to Winchester Repeating Arms Company. By 1941, when the United States entered World War II, production was reaching significant numbers. By 1943, the M1 Garand was the standard rifle for American infantry forces worldwide. German engineers who examined the captured M1 Garand were impressed immediately. The rifle was well made. The tolerances were tight. The finish was professional. The wood stock was well fitted. The metal parts were machined to high standards. This was not a crude weapon. This was a precision instrument manufactured to military specifications. The engineers disassembled the rifle completely. They examined every component. They measured every dimension. They tested every function. Their analysis revealed sophisticated engineering. The gas system was simple but effective. The operating rod was robust. The bolt mechanism was reliable. The trigger mechanism was smooth. The safety was positive. The sights were accurate. Everything about the rifle suggested careful design and thorough testing. But what impressed German engineers most was the philosophy behind the rifle. German military doctrine emphasized accuracy and individual marksmanship. German soldiers were trained to fire carefully aimed shots. The Kar98k bolt-action rifle was perfect for this doctrine. It was accurate. It was reliable. It required the soldier to aim carefully because reloading between shots took time. German infantry tactics assumed that careful aimed fire would defeat enemy infantry. The M1 Garand represented a different philosophy. American doctrine emphasized volume of fire. American infantry tactics assumed that more bullets in the air meant more hits on target. The M1 Garand allowed American soldiers to fire 8 rounds as fast as they could pull the trigger. Accuracy would be somewhat less than with a bolt-action rifle, but total hits would be higher because more rounds were fired. German test firers took the M1 Garand to the range. They fired it at various distances. They compared it to the Kar98k. The results confirmed what the engineers had predicted. At long range, the Kar98k was slightly more accurate. A skilled marksman with a Kar98k could place shots more precisely than with the M1 Garand. But at combat ranges, the difference was negligible. and the M1 Garand's rate of fire was double or triple that of the Kar98k. German military analysts understood the implications immediately. An American infantryman with an M1 Garand could fire 8 aimed shots in the time a German soldier with a Kar98k could fire 3 or 4. In a firefight, this meant American infantry could deliver 2 to 3 times as much fire as German infantry. Numbers mattered. If American and German infantry squads were equal in size and training, the American squad would win because it could deliver more fire. The situation was worse than simple mathematics suggested. Combat is not fought under ideal conditions. Soldiers under fire experience stress. They make mistakes. They fire hurriedly. A soldier with a bolt-action rifle must take his eyes off the target to work the bolt. He must break his aim to reload. Each interruption gives the enemy time to move or return fire. A soldier with a semi-automatic rifle never breaks his aim. He keeps his eyes on the target. He fires. The rifle cycles. He fires again. The psychological advantage is enormous. German soldiers in Italy and France began reporting encounters with American infantry armed with M1 Garands. The reports were consistent. American infantry could sustain higher rates of fire than German infantry. German soldiers felt outgunned. German officers noted that their infantry squads were losing firefights they should have won. The American rifle was changing the dynamics of infantry combat. German military leadership considered several responses. The first option was to develop a German semi-automatic rifle. German engineers had been working on such rifles since the 1930s. The Gewehr 41 had been developed, but was not successful. The Gewehr 43 was an improved design that entered production in 1943. It was semi-automatic. It fired the standard 7.92 mm German cartridge. It was effective, but production was limited. German industry was already stretched producing existing weapons. Adding a new rifle to production meant reducing production of other weapons. The second option was to increase the number of machine guns in German infantry squads. The MG-42 machine gun was an excellent weapon. It had a very high rate of fire. Adding more MG-42s to infantry squads would increase squad firepower. But machine guns required crew-served operation. They were heavier than rifles. They consumed ammunition rapidly. They were support weapons, not individual weapons. Machine guns could not replace the individual soldier's rifle. The third option was to train German soldiers to fire faster with bolt-action rifles. This option was explored but proved impractical. Firing faster with a bolt-action rifle meant sacrificing accuracy. German military doctrine emphasized accurate fire. Abandoning accuracy meant abandoning the core of German infantry doctrine. German trainers could not accept this compromise. German military leadership realized they had no good options. The M1 Garand represented a technological and doctrinal advantage that Germany could not quickly overcome. American infantry had a better rifle. American industry could produce that rifle in quantities German industry could not match. American doctrine had adapted to the capabilities of that rifle. German infantry would have to fight at a disadvantage. The production numbers were staggering. Springfield Armory and Winchester produced over 5 million M1 Garand rifles during the war. German production of the Gewehr 43 never exceeded 400,000 rifles. This meant that for every German soldier with a semi-automatic rifle, there were more than 10 American soldiers with M1 Garands. The numerical disparity was crushing. German soldiers who captured M1 Garands in combat prized them. The rifles were superior to the Kar98k in almost every respect. German soldiers used captured M1 Garands whenever they could acquire them. German officers encouraged their men to use captured American weapons. But captured weapons were rare. American soldiers did not abandon their rifles. When an American soldier fell, his comrades retrieved his rifle. German units that wanted M1 Garands had to capture them from enemy positions or recover them from battlefields. The M1 Garand's design included one feature that German soldiers found both fascinating and useful. The rifle was loaded with an 8-round en-bloc clip. The clip was inserted into the rifle from the top. When the last round was fired, the clip was ejected automatically with a distinctive ping sound. German soldiers learned to listen for that sound. When they heard it, they knew an American soldier was reloading. German soldiers could use that moment to advance or return fire. But American soldiers adapted to this vulnerability. They learned not to fire all 8 rounds continuously. They learned to reload before the clip was empty. They learned to create false reload sounds to draw German fire. The M1 Garand's supposed weakness became less of a weakness as soldiers gained experience. German intelligence officers compiled comprehensive reports on the M1 Garand. These reports were distributed to German military units. The reports explained the rifle's capabilities. They explained its weaknesses. They provided tactical guidance on how to fight American infantry armed with M1 Garands. The guidance emphasized the importance of not engaging American infantry at close range. German infantry were instructed to engage American infantry at long range, where the Kar98k's accuracy advantage was meaningful. German infantry were instructed to use cover and concealment to reduce exposure to American fire. German infantry were instructed to concentrate their own fire to overwhelm American positions quickly. But tactical guidance could not overcome the fundamental disadvantage. American infantry had better rifles. American infantry could deliver more fire. American infantry would win firefights if all other factors were equal. German infantry could win only through superior tactics, better positions, or overwhelming numerical superiority. These conditions became increasingly rare as the war progressed. By 1944, German military planners understood that they had lost the infantry weapons race. American infantry were better armed than German infantry. The M1 Garand was a better rifle than the Kar98k. The Gewehr 43 was produced in insufficient numbers to close the gap. German industry could not produce enough semi-automatic rifles to equip all German infantry. German infantry would fight the rest of the war at a firepower disadvantage. The M1 Garand also influenced post-war rifle development. The rifle demonstrated that semi-automatic operation was practical for military rifles. It demonstrated that increased rate of fire improved combat effectiveness. It demonstrated that reliability and ease of use were more important than theoretical accuracy. These lessons influenced every military rifle developed after World War II. German engineers who had examined the M1 Garand during the war later worked on post-war rifle development in both West and East Germany. They incorporated lessons learned from the M1 Garand. They understood that future military rifles needed to be semi-automatic or fully automatic. They understood that volume of fire mattered more than individual shot accuracy in modern combat. The M1 Garand had changed their understanding of what an infantry rifle should be. The rifle continued to serve after World War II. American forces used M1 Garands in the Korean War. The rifle proved effective in that conflict. American infantry again had firepower superiority over enemy infantry. The M1 Garand remained a standard American infantry rifle until it was replaced by the M14 rifle in the late 1950s. Even then, many M1 Garands remained in service with Reserve and National Guard units. The rifle's reputation grew over time. Veterans who had carried M1 Garands spoke highly of the rifle. They praised its reliability. They praised its accuracy. They praised its effectiveness in combat. General George S. Patton famously called the M1 Garand the greatest battle implement ever devised. While this statement was hyperbole, it reflected the genuine respect that soldiers had for the rifle. German soldiers who had fought against American infantry armed with M1 Garands had a different perspective. They respected the rifle's capabilities. They recognized its effectiveness. But they also recognized that it represented something larger than just a rifle. It represented American industrial capacity. It represented American technological innovation. It represented American willingness to equip every soldier with the best available weapon. When German engineers completed their analysis of the captured M1 Garand, they wrote a comprehensive technical report. The report documented every aspect of the rifle. It documented the mechanical design. It documented the manufacturing techniques. It documented the performance characteristics. The report concluded with an assessment that troubled German military leadership. The assessment stated, "The American M1 rifle represents a significant advance in infantry weapon design. Its semi-automatic operation provides a rate of fire advantage that negates the accuracy advantage of bolt-action rifles at combat ranges. The rifle is well-designed, well-manufactured, and highly reliable. American infantry armed with this rifle possess firepower superiority over German infantry armed with standard bolt-action rifles. This superiority cannot be overcome through tactical means alone. German infantry require equivalent or superior weapons to restore parity. But equivalent weapons were not available. The Gewehr 43 was not produced in sufficient numbers. The Sturmgewehr 44 assault rifle was revolutionary, but came too late and in too few numbers to make a difference. German infantry fought the rest of the war knowing they were outgunned. The M1 Garand had ended an era. For centuries, infantry weapons had been roughly equivalent across different armies. A musket was a musket. A bolt-action rifle was a bolt-action rifle. Small differences existed, but these differences rarely decided battles. The M1 Garand created a genuine technological gap. American infantry had a weapon that was qualitatively superior to what their enemies carried. This gap influenced tactics, strategy, and ultimately the outcome of campaigns. The rifle became a symbol of American military power. When people thought about American soldiers in World War II, they often pictured a soldier carrying an M1 Garand. The rifle appeared in countless photographs. It appeared in newsreels. It appeared in victory parades. It became iconic not just as a weapon, but as a representation of American military strength. For German soldiers, the M1 Garand represented something else. It represented the moment when they realized they were fighting an enemy with superior resources and superior technology. Every captured M1 Garand was a reminder that American factories could produce weapons faster than German factories. Every firefight against American infantry was a reminder that American soldiers had better equipment. The rifle symbolized the industrial and technological gap that Germany could not overcome. In the end, the M1 Garand was more than just a rifle. It was a statement about what happens when a wealthy industrial nation mobilizes for total war. It was a statement about the importance of equipping soldiers with the best available tools. It was a statement about the value of innovation and technological advancement. German engineers who examined the rifle understood all of this. They understood that they were looking at a weapon that represented everything Germany was fighting against: American industrial power, American innovation, and American willingness to spare no expense to win the war.